demand. One of the most important concepts in economics is the concept of demand. It is represented by the demand curve. The demand curve essentially shows the relationship between the amount of the good that's being demanded and the price of the good. So there are a couple of concepts we need to discuss. First of all, quantity demanded. It is the amount of a product that consumers are willing and able to buy. And demand schedule shows the table representing all the possible combination between the price of a product and the quantity demanded, ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus concept is important in economics. It means other things being equal. So we assume everything else stays without change and only one variable is allowed to change at a time. So in this case, we're varying the price of the good itself, holding everything else constant. What are the other variables that could possibly affect consumers' decision? Other than the price of a product, which is the most important factor, there's also consumers' income. With changes in consumers' income, their quantity demanded will change. The price of the substitute goods, what are the prices of the alternative? That will also affect the decision to purchase or not purchase the product and in what quantity. The prices of complementary goods, if the goods go well together, that will also make difference whether you want to purchase a certain product or not. Consumers' preferences change over time, and so it is possible through advertising or other influences to make consumer increase the likelihood of purchasing your product. Finally, consumers' expectation about the future prices will affect the decisions that consumers make today. Individual demand curve shows the relationship between the price of a good or service and the quantity demanded by an individual consumer. Again, ceteris paribus, holding other things constant. Overall, we can construct the market demand curve from the individual demand curve by simply adding up all the individual quantity demanded at any given price. Overall, we actually can observe this, the law of demand. There is a negative relationship between price and quantity demanded, ceteris paribus. Other things being held equal, if the price of a good goes up, the quantity demanded will actually go down. Here's an example. There's a difference between change in quantity demanded and change in demand. So this graph over here represents the law of demand. We see from moving from point A to point B, as the prices drop, the quantity demanded actually increased. On the other hand, if there is something that affects the whole demand schedule, we will be moving not along the same demand curve, but we will get a whole new demand curve. In this case, it shifted outward or shifted to the right. And at any given price, the quantity demanded will actually go up. In this example of pizzas, if hypothetically speaking, there was a research saying that pizzas are good for your health, at any given price, consumers will demand more pizzas, and that will shift the whole demand curve, the whole demand schedule to the right. So, what are the relationships between other variables and the prices of related goods to the changes in demand, shifts in the demand curve? If we're talking about the normal good, it's a good for which an increase in income increases demand, just by definition. There are also some inferior goods that with your income going up, you'll actually consume less of that good. One of the examples might be fast food. As people's income go up, people have a tendency to consume eat less at the fast food places. Substitutes. If two goods are pretty good alternatives to one another, if the price of a substitute goes up, then it actually will increase demand for your product. Complements, those are the goods that go together. If the prices of the complement goes down, again, it will be good news for your product, as demand for it will increase. To recap, all these factors would shift out the demand curve to the right. An increase in income is a good news for a normal good. For an inferior good, it actually would shift the demand curve inward. So for the inferior good, the drop in income will increase in demand. If the price of a substitute product goes up, that will actually shift out the demand curve for your product. If the price of a complementary good goes up, that will actually decrease demand for your product, and your demand curve will shift inward. Population. If we think about the market as a whole, increasing the population will increase demand for the product, and that will shift the demand curve to the right. Also, consumer preferences play a major role. If consumers' decisions were affected through advertising and other endorsements, they could actually buy more of a product that's being advertised and promoted. So consumer preferences play a major role in the demand allocation. Finally, expected future price. If you expect the price for your good to go up in the future, you might actually go ahead and make the purchase decision today, which in fact might actually affect the price of the product today.